I was listening to what the president was saying in press briefings today, and he said if it's not solved, if Putin doesn't step up, it's going to be very interesting. And he said it in quite a menacing fashion. So I really do hope that he is going to apply the leverage that he does have.
Well, let's move on to a different story, and that is today's meeting between the Ukrainian and Russian delegation, the first direct talks in 3 years. Of course, Donald Trump had endorsed a direct meeting between Ukrainian President Zelensky and Russia's Vladimir Putin in Turkey this week. But no surprise to anyone, Putin announced last minute that he wouldn't be attending, and he instead sent a junior delegation in his place. Trump was asked if he was disappointed about this on Air Force One.
I don't know anything about it. I'm not disappointed in anything. I'm not disappointed. What would I be disappointed? We just took in $4 trillion, and he says, are you disappointed about a delegation? I know nothing about a delegation. I haven't even checked. Look, nothing's going to happen until Putin and I get together, okay? And obviously he wasn't going to go. He was going to go, but he thought I was going to go. He wasn't going if I wasn't there. And I don't believe anything's going to happen, whether you like it or not, until he and I get together. But we're going to have to get it solved because too many people are dying. Thank you. You're going to land right now. Thank you.
Thus, Trump keen to trumpet to reporters the deals he was doing in Saudi Arabia, which we'll talk about in just a moment. But that point there, that nothing's going to happen until Trump sits down with Putin, I mean, this is a long process, and it's exactly that length, that dragging it out is exactly what Putin wants, isn't it, Jonathan?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Putin is a, whatever we think of him, and we know he's a monster, but he's a negotiator as well, isn't he? Or at least maybe not a negotiator. He knows how to play this international brinkmanship. Look, we'll see where we get to when Trump eventually does meet him. Although I remember Trump saying he was going to sort this out in a couple of days. I think the good thing is obviously they're talking, and I think there's been some agreements about prisoner release. Let's hope that the talks make some progress. Let's hope we can see peace. But we discuss this every week on the programme, and I remain quite gloomy about the prospects on it all. But
in very intrigued by your use of the word monster of Donald Trump. I mean, Keir Starmer couldn't be nicer.
No, I said Putin's the monster.
Oh,
Putin's the monster.
I'm glad to clarify that. I thought you'd gone way off message.
As a good Labour figure, I'm obviously sticking to the Labour line take on.
Clearly, no matter how it sticks in your craw. Penny, Putin, Trump, they'll thrash it out together, and that might actually be seriously to Ukraine's detriment.
Well, look, I think, as I've always said, this is Putin's war to end, and I think that prior to Munich, Trump had some discussions with Putin, and Putin is not delivering on what they talked about. Trump has a lot more leverage than he is currently using on Putin. And as I mentioned in previous weeks, some Republican senators are also teeing up some additional financial pressures that could be applied to Russia. I was listening to what the president was saying in press briefings today, and he said if it's not solved, if Putin doesn't step up, it's going to be very interesting. And he said it in quite a menacing fashion. So I really do hope that he is going to apply the leverage that he does have. I mean, I've kept faith with the president, even through painful meetings that we witnessed in the Oval Office, because I think he is genuinely trying to create the conditions for this to be brought to an end, and it should be brought to an end. And there will have to be compromises in that. I think everyone, including President Zelensky, accepts that. But it's got to be done now. And I want to see Trump in the room with Putin and Zelensky, and applying the right pressure for this to come to an end.
We are chatting WTF, the week that finished, with Penny Mordaunt and Jonathan Ashworth. And we are going to be talking about Donald Trump's trip to the Gulf because his focus hasn't really been on European affairs and Ukraine and Russia. He's been schmoozing Gulf nations in his first official foreign visit. The tour began in Saudi Arabia, where he gave a speech at an investment forum, clearly signalling a shift in US foreign policy.
And it's crucial for the wider world to note this great transformation has not come from Western interventionists or flying people in beautiful planes giving you lectures on how to live and how to govern your own affairs. No, the gleaming marvels of Riyadh and Abu Dhabi were not created by the so-called nation builders, neocons, or liberal nonprofits like those who spent trillions and trillions of dollars failing to develop Kabul, Baghdad, so many other cities. Instead, the birth of a modern Middle East has been brought by the people of the region themselves.
Well, he also met with Syria's interim president Ahmed al-Sharaa, whose Islamist group HTS is still designated a terrorist organisation by the US, the UN and the UK. And he then travelled to Qatar, who have reportedly offered to gift Trump a new jet to use as Air Force One. So it has been a very big trip of making deals, hasn't it? Penny, does it all sort of make you rather despairing of the state of the US administration? Or are you uplifted by the fact that there could be some political breakthrough, both in Syria and potentially Iran?
Well, as you know, Kathy, I always err on the side of being an optimist. And some of his speech was actually quite powerful. He said, commerce, not chaos, tech, not terrorism, building, not bombing. And I think it was all pitched to try and give people a sense of an off-ramp to some of the tensions and some of the issues that the region has been plagued with for a very long time. He clearly wanted to put a dividing line between his policy and how he saw the possibilities in the future, and separate that very much from US foreign policy over many decades, which was to be much more interventionist and less focused perhaps on the economics of the region.
Jonathan?
Well, it's a fascinating trip for people who are interested in the region, and as much as he's obviously said to Syria that he's prepared to lift their sanctions. I mean, I think some of these sanctions have been on Syria since the 1980s, maybe even going as far as back to the 1970s. That is a seismic moment.
Really seismic.
To bring Syria literally out from the cold and into the sort of the norms of the world economy, given the nature of the president and his background. So that's a really big deal. I mean, the missing part of the jigsaw, of course, is Israel here, where although he's freed the last remaining American hostage, look, the ongoing war in Gaza is heartbreaking. The loss of life, devastating. The fact there are still hostages held equally is horrific. And we need peace. We need the hostages released, and we need to see a sustainable process for a two-state solution. So, where does Israel fit into his latest thinking is my question.
Yeah, and I'm sure Netanyahu wants to know the same thing.